Okay, I'm going to first talk about final project, and then I'm going to um, show you the programming perspective about this final project and homework 4. All right. So so what is a final project? The high level goal is having you to provide a design based on the team. I emphasize design, not implementation. So such that this design will provide some new features. I will call it innovation about the programs already present in the master directory, which is a program you are using for homework assignment number 4. So a new feature, for example, the current system to allow people to make a post didn't include certain thing, which is very useful, but the design. So essentially what we have with the post program is very similar to a Facebook. So you can think about, oh, I wish Facebook had this feature. And so I want you to think about that, about as a exercise. And then the first part is about innovation. So this grading, I want to first talk about the grading perspective. So the grading has 25 plus 5, totally 30%. So those 25 is going to relate it to your design, your innovation. And the other 5% is about how you might help other teams to actually make their innovation, their design. Okay, so I'm going to first talk about the first 25%. So 15% of this 25% is try to see if your new feature is innovative. So, I mean, of course, you can create a new feature. I can say, okay, currently Facebook only allow, say, 1 GPS location. I actually make it 5. Okay, so it's 1, I make it 5. But then why you need 5? The question is why you need this new feature. So this new feature is must have not just a new feature, but also has a valuable impact or application to the user who uses the system. So I want you to think about what is needed in order for you to do that. Okay, so this might be some of the things like adding a new attribute. If it didn't have GPS location, you add a GPS location. It didn't have, say, a location trace, you can add a location trace. But important thing is you have to mention that why this is important for a particular scenario. That's going to help the user of this application. Let me give you a broader, that this is actually very broad. Innovation, it could be very broad. The innovation could be, oh, I want to actually use this application to do tracing of food. So for example, there was some poisoning E. coli virus regarding beef or regarding the Chipotle product. And how do you actually adding some features such that you will be able to use the assistant like Facebook to trace where the food, where is the source of the issue, or you can think about tracing a COVID. How do you actually integrate a Facebook become a system that you can actually trace the potential source of a virus is spreading on campus? Okay, or you can use the system. How do you actually make a Facebook such that you can trace the unit train better? So I will encourage you to think about a campus, a community application that's actually directly apply your life. Or maybe we can say, hey, how do I be able to share some of the lesson we learned from a course or something like that? Why is the current system is not very useful. It's actually has a lot of work. So I want you to justify that. And that is actually, you don't even need to provide any kind of design, even kind of programming. This is purely looking at user applicability, and that's 15%. And you do need to provide one or two scenario. Okay, so that's the 15%. That's important for the final project. And the other 10% is actually whether the idea is a practical, meaning that you not only have idea, you want to have this, but you actually has a pass from the software design perspective that's saying that, okay, this is actually practical because I can take the system, adding a new class or do another inheritance, and then I'm actually very close to the things I want. Then you can apply your object-oriented programming principle. That's 10%. So you have a 25% look at the idea. The idea need to be innovative. And the 10% is actually try to make sure that this idea is implementable. Okay, given the time about what we have in ecs36b, I want to emphasize that you do not need to implement the idea. Okay, you do not need to, but I have a way to actually be able to test whether this is a practical programmable, but you do not need to implement. So it's really about a thought process, and maybe you can provide argument based on your understanding about some code is already there, but you don't need to worry about, because I know any kind of significant idea, it takes itself about 3 months for you to really have a good solid application. So that's not the purpose. We're just looking at the idea, and you have a thought process that how this idea can be realized. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. Okay, having said that, now we're actually looking at how will you be able to accomplish this? How do I grade your 25%, for example? Okay, the way to do it is that you're going to use the same program as you use for homework 4, and you're going to post, every single team is going to make a post to the server that I have, which is exactly the same server you're going to do homework 4, exactly the same server you're going to do final project, which I'm going to show you that simple post looks like. The post, it should be really looks like the simple post we provide in homework assignment number 4, except that this post first shouldn't have any exception. Okay, it shouldn't have any exception. And the author of the post is going to be your team. So I can actually see that this post is actually related to this team. This team actually provides this idea. Okay, and also the keyword, to search keyword to this post should be your team name as well. So I can actually type it in, the team name, I can actually pull out the post that's related to your final project. So essentially, you think about your final project, instead of for you to write a code or write a document or write a PowerPoint, I want you to write a Facebook post about your project. So your idea, you're going to put it as a Facebook post saying that, okay, I think for this number 1, I think I want to do this. What's the scenario? And for number 2, I argue, why is that? You can actually use whatever feature a post allow you to express your idea. And I want you to do, did I say this, as soon as possible? Each team should submit their draft idea as a post. Sorry, I should probably say this, as a post as soon as possible, meaning today. So your idea could be, hey, this is my team name, this is my post. What's my idea? Nothing. Okay, you can start with saying nothing. Or you say, hey, I want to have a post with whatever idea. And what I'm going to do is that I'm actually start to give you feedback. If you put a post saying that this is the post for our team, what's our idea? Nothing. What's our practical? Nothing. If you put that, I will in the comments say the instructor give you 2%. So totally 25%, you already have 2%. Okay, and then you start to putting ideas saying that, hey, we think that this is the idea. And then I will give you feedback about what I think is a problem or the merit about your idea and update your grade. Okay, so this is from now until June 15. This process, I want you to start early as possible because you can actually post idea. I have a time to get back to you. You can actually improve your idea. And eventually you realize I actually give you a 25%. Maybe you come out, by the way, sometime you don't have to write a lot, but you hit some interesting application and you actually have some suggestion about how you're going to implement this. You're just say orally, and then I identify, I feel this idea is great and this is practical, you have 25%. So as long as you see I put reply with a 25%, you're done for the final project, for that 25%. Okay, so that's basically the process. About you have a post, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my server the best I can. I'm going to try to get back to you as soon as I can and give you the grade. And then you can actually just starting to do that. And then this post, by the way, is not only available between the team and me, and this post will be available to the whole class. And the whole class, you can actually search. I will announce what's the team name of everybody. You can actually search what's the team. When you do the search, ecs36b search, you will be able to retrieve the whole post, which is their current status of their idea and all the comments provided by the instructor and all the grades that's actually has been assigned. By the way, I'm actually going to provide that because I want to make it transparent. So everybody will know everybody's status, okay? And of course, some of you, I might give some comment initially, you have a lower grade, other people see that, don't panic, okay? You can still improve, okay? So that's kind of the situation. But the other 5%, which I call it a helping 5%. So every team, you need to select one other team, and your role, your team is a helper. So what's a helper? You're basically doing the same role that I'm doing. You look at some idea, and then this idea, it cannot be nothing, right? You cannot help people from the start. They have to have something which is already pretty firm, okay? You already see that the instructor already start communicating with the team. And what you want to do is you look at the idea, look at the past, and you make suggestion. The suggestion could be the innovation perspective, or it could be practical perspective. But I will guess most of your contribution will be on the innovative side, which innovation could be that you suggest something which is helping them to develop their innovation such that it's more practical to implement. That's actually totally okay. So if I actually see your team make this is what I said here. If you make a constructed comment, that's actually valuable to help the other team to actually score better, then your team will get the remaining 5%. Okay, so this is not a competition. By the way, I should have said this in the first lecture. This quarter, I'm not going to do curving. So I have never curved until the CS department decide come out with a policy say you have to curve. But something happened last quarter. They said, oh, that policy, we're not going to move forward, probably some of the issue. So now I'm rolled back. So I'm actually going to not curving, which means I try to, the reason curving is fair. Curving is a good assessment, but curving hurts collaboration because you try to compete about the top 10% in order to get the grade you want. So I'm actually not going to do curving. Okay, so basically I'm just looking at your each person or each team, your performance as yourself and not comparing to others. So what I hope to do is that this will not create any kind of competition. So please go help other people such that everybody can get a very good final project with a good innovation and with a good practical programming. And of course, if I have 3 more months to spend the time with you, I hope that you will be able to just download the source code and you actually can implement your idea in some way in the future. Okay, whenever you have a time, summer or whatever, which might be a fun demo that you can show up later for either your academic work or when you want to show up to your just demonstrate during your internship or interview process. Okay. All right. So that's a high level thing about the final project. Any question about what I just said? So a few important information I forgot to mention. The due date is June 15th. So essentially, I'm saying that you can keep improving your idea. You have to watch. I will try to get back to you within a few hours whenever you submit something. So you will actually see what's your grade, current grade. If you want to improve, you keep looking at the comment and taking the suggestion from other teams, and then you can keep moving. And also anytime, if I recognize a team already helped the other team, I will inform you that you got your 5% already. Okay, so essentially, this is an ongoing process. So just do it as early as is probably better. Okay, I want to tell you that do it as early as possible, because if you do early, you might be able to get help. Because if you do it too late, there might not be too many other teams that can help you because they already got 5%. You understand what I'm saying? So you want to actually, and the other thing is you might not find the other team to help because everybody is already pretty mature, 25%. Okay, so I want you to do this as early as possible. Yes.
I was just going to ask about reviewing the revision process. We can do it as many times as we want.
As many as just like Facebook, right? You can have, of course, I don't want you to have a 10 million comments for one post. That's probably not going to happen. But as many, and it's accumulate. So your report is really a Facebook post, something like that. But I don't want you to use Facebook. I want you to use this one because I want you to get familiar with that. Okay. Any other question? Yes, please.
Right, like to navigate and you have to like in the doc or like basically.
You can do either way. You can actually just already, because the current post provide an interface of a message, right? But it also has a feature called link. You can provide, did I say anything about the link? Yeah, somewhere I have I mentioned about the link. Is your choice. Yeah, you see, you can either just provide whatever idea using the post, or you can actually provide a link. That link could be a Google Doc or whatever you want to provide. So by the way, what is a link? Let me actually give you an example. I was actually playing around here. So for example, this is a JSON. I think I have a link. Yeah, you see that there is a feature called links that you can provide. Okay, it's just one of the features about posts. And what is a link? A link is an array of whatever links you can provide. So you can provide multiple links. You can actually include anything you want using this interface. It's essentially a JSON interface. Yeah. Okay, any other? Yes. Right. This is for final project. Yeah. Oh, homework final project. So the difference between homework for JSON and final project is a final project. This JSON should not generate any exception, meaning that it's well formed. It's correct one. It doesn't have anything missing or any type mismatch. It doesn't generate any exception. But homework 4 is opposite. We want to generate as many exceptions as possible. By the way, okay, I took it back for homework 4 requirement. At first, I said you want to have a maximum amount of exception to get a full credit, right? So I kind of changed a little bit because if you can see that I tried to do that myself, by the way. And for this one, I have about 10, but that's actually already reduced. I actually make a JSON with a lot of arrow and then reduce. I realized that it's probably I shouldn't ask you for maximum, but instead I said if you can generate 20 exception, that would be good. By the way, I start when I first send this JSON, there's already 43 exception. So I reduced from 43 to about 10. So I'm actually doing a lot of debugging when I'm trying to look at that. I actually found a bug in my own code. Okay, so that's why I feel we shouldn't strike for a maximum because I'm not sure what is exactly the maximum, but 20 is a reasonable number. Okay, that shouldn't be too hard for you to do. You can just tweak and then generate 20 exceptions. So there are two, but by the way, both of them, the grade will be included in the JSON itself. So when you send the homework 4 JSON, if it's 20, I'm going to immediately give you 10%. You will see that in the JSON. Okay, if you provide the team name correctly. For the final project, it's the same thing. The grade will be mentioned in the post, but also I will log. Okay, so one of the interesting scenario is that, I mean, this is definitely doable if I don't log. So one of the team will basically provide a JSON with a final project, but the same thing, they impersonate instructor and give the full grade 30%. I mean, that's doable, right? I don't have any authentication. Everybody can, by the way, anybody can fake the other team. Have you noticed that we didn't require any authentication? So I log everything. And I log like IP address, how you kind of think. So I have a way, if somehow you realize somebody else impersonate you, I have all the logs. Okay, that's number one. Oh, there is another important thing I do want to mention. For this project, feel free to use ChatGPT. Okay, you can use ChatGPT to generate whatever. You can put a prompt about this, and the instructor say this. You say, I said this, instructor say this, then what should be the next few tokens I should generate? It's okay for you to use that. I believe it's my firm belief that ChatGPT is a useful tool. It's controversial, but it hasn't been really good in innovation. Okay, it's good to handle things that we already know, but it might help you. That's okay. It's totally okay. But I want to say that it's okay for you to use ChatGPT to generate this, and then you include it in the JSON to submit. That's perfectly okay. But also, you can actually integrate this together with ChatGPT. I mean, or any kind of large language model. You say, hey, if I have the post, have this design, I want to have extra feature so I can use some of the generative AI that already in the system. That's actually, I don't have to bring in generative AI result from the other program, copy into here. I can actually already integrate with some kind of generative AI capability. I mean, I hope you can have some innovation, not just say using OpenAI API and you call that. That's actually kind of not so innovative because people can do that already, okay? But I will challenge you, if you want to bring large language model or generative AI, remember, you have to justify what is the scenario. Why does this help our community? Why does this help UC Davis student body? Why does this help communicate fake news? No, sorry, not communicate fake news, but detect fake news or false information among campus community. For example, how do you actually do it? I mean, that's a big problem in Facebook or any kind of social media system. disinformation is a huge problem. It's like you don't know who spread it. I mean, especially election is coming in a few months, and this election could certainly be interesting. So you can actually think about how you want to provide feature in order to do that. Okay, I can certainly provide you feedback as soon as possible. So my job is not try to help you to do the work, but my job is based on my experience, I'm going to provide some objectives or subjective feedback to tell you, oh, perhaps you should consider this because this particular things you want to do, people already done this and this and this. Do you think that you might want to extend in whatever direction? So my job is try to kind of provide like a coaching for you to develop a innovative idea. And then for the programming, for the application side, I would say, hey, there might be an easier way for you to do that, which is more practical, and then you have to adjust your proposal based on that, okay? And by the way, this is something which I hope you will do. Even though I actually log everything, I hope that when you make a revision, you will keep the original. When you make a revision, you will keep the original, okay? And the reason we say this is that, well, for other people try to understand the history about how you develop into this idea, especially with other team, where they want to look at this, they actually see, if they only see the last revision, they miss how you came to this point, which is that information is important because then they can appreciate, they understand that why some of the stuff you're doing, okay? So I want you to make sure when you do the revision, your previous version is also somewhere you can retrieve in the post itself. So typically I would suggest is that you have your original idea, but once your idea is more or less saturated or firm, what you want to do is that you can add the extra idea or suggestion in the comments. And we will discuss in the comment area. And when the comment is kind of stabilized or converge into some concrete idea, then you revise whatever the document or the link or the post itself, okay? But the important thing is that you have a record that you can track, okay? Any other question? Yes, please. Yes, yes. I can provide you some example. Yeah, there are lots of examples. So I would like to think about there's two-way street. From this direction, from the east, is about a need, a requirement, or some kind of inspiring example that we actually need to deal with. I gave the example like fake news, for example. Fake news is one, tracking of a virus or tracking about the food or some kind of recommendation system about a restaurant or some kind of service or recommendation about a course, for example. Okay, so those are the things that you personally, your team, you're interested. Then you can look at that. That's just try to look at that. But the other part is communication. What we really developed here is a communication system. So a communication system is allow a community to share information in a way that we can actually enhance our relationship as a community to a more positive. I mean, of course, any kind of communication could be controversial at some point. So how do we try to have a communication platform to allow us to communicate, and yet we respect privacy, we respect each other's difference, diversity, and then we can actually provide a system to address some of the issue. Okay, of course, For example, when I talk about disinformation, fake news, it's okay. This actually hit my own passion, so I have to say a little bit. So I just want to tell you there is no computable definition for fake news. So whatever definition, whenever people say, "Oh, this is a fake news," this is not a fake news, it's not objectives. It usually has certain amount of subjectives in there. Okay, so when I look at the fake news, my belief, okay, this now is my showing my subjective belief about what is a disinformation. I'm giving you a more concrete example. So in the example I'm going to provide is usually in the disinformation, it's not about judging a particular piece of content is fake or truth. There's an obvious news that's actually fake. You can actually do some kind of fact check. But there's a lot of opinion expressing, especially during the election time. It's actually going to be really subjective. And sometimes people criticize this article is disinformation, usually just because their political opinion might be against that. So they didn't actually think more. They just basically think about a few sentences. They say, "Oh, this is a fake news." Okay, that is actually hurting our society. Unfortunately, that actually make us split in some way. I mean, in this room, by the way, this is California. In this room, we will have 2 or 3 or more group of people regarding their opinion about who should be the best president for United States after November this year. Okay, so we're going to have a different opinion. So my suggestion to all of you, if you're interested in this direction, is that instead of looking at the site, a content is true or false and try to label it, a better way is do what we call the differential. I call it difference in news. So means that if you think this one is inappropriate, then I actually going to provide another article, which is actually from the other extreme. So one is from the left wing, one is from the right wing. And then we actually will concentrate what's the difference between these two. And then we actually, when we want to distribute this in the communication, like a Facebook, by the way, Facebook didn't do this until today. And none of the social media really do this, is that, and ChatGPT didn't do that either. So you have a piece of news from, I mean, I just give some example. This is from the Republican, has certain opinion on this particular agenda. And the Democrat has a different one. And then there is somewhere in between has another opinion. It will be good for us to have some communication system together provide all 3 pieces and address their difference. And then this basically push to the end user for end user to understand the whole thing. And he himself is going to make his own call regarding what he believes, what he wants to believe. And I feel that is a different kind of design to kind of give the information to the end user for each of us to make a critical thinking about what you believe, what's true, what you want to believe, and based on that, you make a decision yourself. So that is an example about how to deal with disinformation. By the way, this is my academic research. I want to say that there is 2 kinds of definition. The one kind of definition is I just call definition. So you can make your own definition about what is fake news, what is disinformation. Anybody can do that. But the other definition is what I call computable definition. Computable definition means that this definition will lead to an algorithm to compute what is fake news or not. For example, what is a computable definition? Sorting is a computable definition because I kind of define what is a key and I can sort things out using bubble sort, whatever sort you want. That's a computable definition. But this information is not. Pretty much all the AI system is not computable definition. So if you're depending on a machine learning algorithm, sorry, I'm actually going to a little bit easier 170, which you will take one day. If you look at the machine learning or ChatGPT, by the way, what is ChatGPT? It's reading a lot of information that's actually from our society. And some of the data might be synthetic. And I try to provide a summarization of probabilistic property about those information. And guess what? Where are those information? Those information are from the people who might have biased opinion. So essentially, all the machine learning algorithm is not computable because they rely on the data. They rely on how the data will shape the algorithm, the computation itself. Okay, so that is actually kind of dangerous for disinformation because if you rely on that, it's the same as you rely on a bunch of people who might or might not have bias, and they kind of blend it together, which make to the decision about the disinformation or not very unclean in that way. Okay, so there is no definition for fake news. There's no computable definition. Computable means that the definition itself is sufficient for me to derive the answer, and I do not rely on any other human input data. Okay, so I hope you understand. So so that's why I pushing that. Okay, then I'm actually looking at difference. Difference, however, is always computable. So what is the difference? You gave me a bunch of data. I actually have a way to compare how they're different from each other. And that is not based on anybody's input about what should be the difference, but you can compute what is the difference. So that's an important concept when you look at that. Okay. Any other question? By the way, since I'm on this topic, I want to tell you that I mean we're like a last week of the class, so I want to actually tell you something which I think is going to happen. So for all the technology that's coming right now, for example, large language model is essentially how the application interface with a language model is a probabilistic interface. You kind of train everything in a black box and you try to get the data out of that. Okay, so there is a trend in next 5 to 10 years that the black box need to be somehow white box, need to be somehow transparent in that box. And it's my belief that object-oriented programming model is going to serve into that space. So in the future, right now, if you think about the current dominant paradigm in machine learning AI is a huge vector with lots of what we call fine-tuning and some other architecture. But that is very convenient for you to calculate probabilistically, but it doesn't provide a good abstraction about what is what is really the meaning of that. So essentially, in the future, they need to have a more explanation, which means that the object-oriented modeling is actually going to be integrated to explain so-called large language model. The recent paper, 2024, there was a paper, I hope I can dig it out for you. Essentially, they're arguing, saying that the LLM, when you look at LLM, look at transformer, it's essentially key value pair. That's what they do. They actually want to have an extra model. They use key value pair. If you think about key value pair, for those of you who sit in the class long enough, you realize that's really the concept of object-oriented. Okay, so that's something which I kind of carry out a little bit, but since I'm on this topic. Okay, I want to actually give you another example. And by the way, any question about what I just said? Okay, I want to give you another example. For example, Unitrain. If you think about Unitrain, is a system that's actually allow you to carry student. But you think about that is the student has some need about transportation from one location to the other. And the thing is that we kind of have a fixed schedule about how the bus is moving around. But there are a lot of interesting things that could happen in the Unitrain. I mean, for example, why do we have to have a fixed schedule? Why can't we make the schedule somewhat flexible and such that it will fit the need a little bit better? And when you want to do this kind of flexible schedule, guess what? You need to communicate. So how do you actually using this kind of Facebook post, this kind of concept to actually express your need here and there to provide the communication? I mean, it's almost like an Uber, but except is a bus transportation kind of system. So that is another example. So I want you to think about your life. Think about the things you care. A few years ago, I have one group of students who is actually very creative. They come up with idea of a smart fridge. So they use a Facebook post to track what kind of food you have in your refrigerator. When actually you put this food inside the fridge, I mean, when did you do that? And then when you move the food from one refrigerator to the other, from Safeway to your own refrigerator, that's kind of extend the content of a post to include the food. And that actually helped a lot of situations. And the other student, I remember they were looking at, which I also appreciate their concept, is they're trying to help the food bank. How do you actually communicate the need about those people who might need some nutrition, might need some food because they're economically, they just cannot afford some of the food. And how do they actually use this to be able to fit into a really cool service for our society to actually allow us to share what we have, and then we can actually benefit everybody. Okay, that's something I want you to encourage you to think about from the motivation side. And then you think about, well, how do I actually go? The second 10% essentially is how do you go about from that vision to a practical implementation? Okay. All right, any other question? Okay, so now I'm actually going to tell you how do you actually create a post. Okay, how do you create a post? And also in the process, I'm actually also tell you how do you address the homework 4 exception. Because I was trying to do that this morning. I kind of pulled out a very old post and tried to do that. And then I see a lot of 43 exception. So now I'm going to see how you can create the first post. Oh, by the way, I will post this after so let's do this. I will CP super JSON to ting alpha ting-alpha.json. Okay, so I assuming I have a ting called ting alpha. I'm actually going to create a post so I can register. So let's look at the post. Okay, this thing ID. Okay, ID, by the way, you can just say anything you want. I can just leave it that way. And the keywords, I want to only have a one keyword because remember I said I could have multiple. Yeah, by the way, let me do three keywords still. The first keyword is alpha. The second keyword is, I would say ecs36b. And then the third keyword is final. Okay, so I have a keyword, so I can actually search your project either using alpha or using ecs36b or final to actually try to find out. Okay, and then the name. The name I'm going to search, I'm going to say alpha. Maybe I would just say Ting Alpha. I would just say alpha, whatever. And then the VSID, you need to have it because historically it was there. You can put anything you want. It won't affect your grade, whatever. And the home, you can like for me, I mean, the reason I put this there is I try to avoid generating any exception. Okay, I just put latitude, longitude, 0102, whatever is fine. Okay. And then 2, I'm just sending to 1. I mean, initially I can just send to myself. Okay, so that's okay. So I have a link. Let's put the class ID to be okay. This is the link. This is a link to a Facebook post, a photo. Okay, assuming I still keep that. Okay, message is important one. I would say message content currently nothing. Okay, initially you want to have currently nothing. Or if you have some idea, you can directly just program. So you essentially, instead of typing into a nice interface such as Facebook, you're actually using the editor to edit your JSON. Okay, and reaction. Okay, let's do this. Reaction, let me actually get rid of reaction. And the data, I don't have anything. It's an empty array. And update time is here. And then the action, I'm going to put 0. And data, I'm not going to put anything. And then comment initially has a 0 comment. And the data, again, I'm going to get rid of everything. Okay, and the created time, whatever. Okay, let's actually check whether this will generate any exception. Okay, Ting Alpha. So I can actually run ecs36b line update. And then Ting Alpha. Okay, so now you can see that it has an error because why I haven't run the server yet. I'm just at the client side. I'm actually trying to look at this post. And you can see I actually have a 10. I have a 10 exception. You see that I have a 10 exception with a JSON. So I have to look at, okay, so one is class person have a home. I actually missed that. So I have to go back to, let me first look at this. So this is interesting. Before I come to this class, I was very curious about why it basically say key missing a message, which if you look at this, I do have a message here. So I might have a syntax error somewhere, which is actually causing this issue. I'm actually still thinking about what's happening. And you can see that what did I do wrong? It was a home, also not. That's actually very strange. I both have a home. Oh, you know what? I realized this is a problem. I forgot a comma because every JSON has a comma. This might be the bug. Okay, I'm actually going to run it again. This time, how many exception? So now I get down to 5. I have a 5 exception and I have missing host URL, class name, object ID. This has to do with the core object stuff. So I have to get rid of that. But anyway, let me do this. I have a 5. Sorry. I want to see those 5. So is published. Okay, let me fix is published. I think I know what happened. Is published is published. Okay, it's not hyphen. Okay, this will go down to 4. Okay, so now about 4. This 4 are a core object. Host URL, class name, object ID, and location. So what I'm going to do is, oh, do I have a location? Let me actually do this. Location. I know what I want to do. So apparently I need to have a location. So I'm going to copy this. Let me see if this is needed. Location. And I need to provide a comment. A comma here. Okay. See if this take care of the other issue. So now I have a 3. Okay. So I just need to read this, decide what to do. So now this host URL, class name, and object ID, they all relate to the core object. But the core object I'm not going to require because I'm not using shadow object. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mask the exception. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to mask the exceptional handling for core because I don't care about the core. And this is the JSON to object because here they're going to generate a bunch of exception class, this 3. So what I will do is at the end, I just make sure you don't throw anything. Okay, so if I do this, then I'm going to run this program again. Now, if I look at Ting Alpha, I still have 3 class link, host URL, class link, class name. Okay, that's very strange. Okay, I want to go to the link, class link. I thought I'd take care of that already. So this has to do with JSON to object. Oh, because I need the link, I need the URL, host URL, and class name. Okay, it is the link. I actually include some of the core object. Okay, so I will fix this later, but now I'm just using stop the link to throw something. So this is called hacking, okay? Whenever you do exceptional handling, that when you want to deal with something quick, just block the exception. Okay, so now I actually can run this. So now you see I don't have any exception. After I've done this, I took care of all the exception. So now I can actually submit. Okay, so now I want to go to the server side. Let me go to let me remove ecs36b log. Remove that and I touch this. And then let me see, do I have any O key here? Don't have any O key, ls post. I want to remove all the posts. Okay, so now my post is actually clear. Everything is clear. So now I'm going to run the server. Okay, I'm running the server. Now I'm going to run the client. Okay, now let's take a look at the server. It basically create a post. Over here, let's actually see what happened. So if you go to the log, that's why I said I log everything. If you take a look at the log, it was having the timestamp. We just have it. And then has exactly the message, exactly what we just post. And then with the link and with the location, with ooh, the message is not being recorded correctly. Why they have a 5 value? That's interesting. I have to check on this. Okay. But there is something which is not so correct. But if you go to post, now if you take a look at this one, where's the message? Did you see the message? That's the strange part. I thought I already have the message. You didn't see that, right? So it's not being included correctly. Let me actually take a look. I'm sorry that there is some issue with original JSON. Let me take a look at the update side. I thought I don't have any exception. And for some reason, I have some exception on the server side. You see that it says message is equal to true and is two, and then exception has a 5 exception, incorrect VSID in history. Yeah, history stuff should be gone already. Class post. Yeah, it has to be the message, comment, and some of the key missing over there. So I have to, the server probably need to be recompiled. Oh, I think I know what happened. Let me do this. Make a clean. This is embarrassing. Sorry about that. Let me first take a look at the message. Server, CPP. So I'm going to move these things over here. So I have an update over here. Okay. The thing is, I want to make sure is whether the client is sending things correctly. So I'm going to run the server again and run the client again. That's very strange. The message somehow. So the message was not received correctly from the client side. You see that this message is already saying truth. So which means that the client side already have the problem with the message. So I will do this. Okay. Sorry, I have to fix this bug. So message must be in post. Message dump to JSON. Let me see. What's the message? Comments. Yeah, that's correct. let me do a std cout. Oh, I know what happened. Star. That's embarrassing. That pointer should be there long time ago. Server and running the client. Okay, now the message is coming up. Currently nothing. I'm sorry that this should have been taken care a long time ago. I'm not sure how this will be here. Free not allocated, but now I'm actually now we have a different problem. There was a pointer problem exactly where that was. Pointer being free, but not allocated. This must be somewhere. Suddenly when I did the change, I have that. Okay. That's ugly. But at least right now I know the message that's actually being sent to over here is actually being sent correctly from the client side, but apparently from the server side, I have some issue here. Okay, I need to do some, let me actually try to do it very quick. So if I run this, if I do this, I'm actually having a here 2, 3. Okay, where is a here 2? Sorry, I have to go back here. Control S here, -1. So I have a lot of this. So it must be somewhere here. I'm actually getting a malloc arrow. Here 2, here 3. New key. That's very strange. Here 3. By the way, did the arrow message say here 2 or here 3? Do you remember? Are you still paying attention to what I'm doing? It is here 2. Okay, so before it reach here 3, it's already here 2. It's not even here. It's already gone. That's interesting. Try. Yeah, how can this be? How can this be? It's only here 2. Yeah, this actually confused me. Let me just add one statement. Just simply check. Now 1, now 2. Okay, so here 2, it doesn't even go to 2.1. So the arrow, as I believe, that's related to my new modification, actually, because I told you I just did. Okay, apparently, this one has some problem. Piece, data, AI, and whenever it goes to 2, the last one, and the sign to JSON value is not there. That's interesting. Anybody want to think about what's problem with this line? This is dealing with the key. JSON value LJVKE star ARG JSON pointer to the keys, to the data, to the AI. It doesn't make sense, right? I'm going to do this. F flush, STD out, F flush, STD out. Do you know what F flush? Have you ever used F flush? F flush is that the operating system sometime the error condition already happened, but it kind of hasn't really finished all the print out. It's already died. So I want to flush out means that I want to flush every single character in the system to make sure that it print every single character before it. Okay, I'm going to actually also print something %D. I want to print AI. What is the value of AI? Over here, and that should be fine. I'm going to print ARG JSON pointer. So this is going to be %P. I'm actually turn my course to be a debugging course today. All right, so let me try to do this again, run the server and run the client. Oh, this is a different here too. Sorry, this is the here too I have. There's no problem. I'm actually looking at the different spot. Here's a here too, not the post here too. Okay, okay. Ah, that's even better. That's actually ecs36b server.cpp. Okay, here is a problem. Huh. Okay, what is this issue here? Okay, I think I know. I will if define XYZ. So let me tell you that I actually want to isolate the problem. So what I did is I removed that piece of code. I think this piece of code is writing the key to the file. Apparently it has some issue over here. So I'm going to get rid of this first. Okay, I know what I am going to do. So there's apparently something that has to do with piece of code, but I want to verify that that is the issue. So let me see. This is going to try. No, it must be here. And if, I hope that's the correct position. Null one, is that right? Null one. Oh, no, it's not right. It's a for loop. I should go to match the for loop. Okay, I make a mistake. It must be here. Yeah. Okay, let's Try to make it. Syntax error. What was the mistake I made? $281. $281. Okay. So that's not a good place. That's very strange. Okay, I'm going to block it here. It's very strange why this is here. $81. $81 is this. Exception. All right, fine. I'm going to do this way. Can I make it to work? Still cannot do this. Okay. Make it here this way. Okay, this is 261. I have to get rid of 261. FM buff. Okay, I will just okay. All right, finally, I get rid of all the issue. Let's see if this still have problem. They still have some same problem. Okay, I'm going to say sorry that apparently I did something right before the class. It's probably alter some of the condition until I get to the key issue. I will fix it when I don't have time pressure in front of the class, and then I will upload, okay? But this afternoon, this is my high priority after this class. Before the office hour this afternoon, I will fix it, and then I will upload the newest code so you can actually play around. Okay, any question about final project? Yes, please. You said no what? Yes, yes. You can actually, yes, exactly. And you can actually stop working when you get 25 already. Okay. So that's yeah.
So for all four, are we submitting to this server for
Right. So I'm actually going to have the server program that's actually going through a URL. Okay, that's a good point. I want to say one thing. If you look at the remember we have this thing or something. Okay, so we have this program called Ting, S2024, And there is a one thing you need to worry about is RT inside RT client. I will include this in the upload. So there is a URL for connect the server, which is the first line. Most of the code I just show you, it says localhost, meaning that is communicate with the current computer you're running. But in order to connect to my server, you actually need to change this to HTTPS ethicus ngrock.io. Okay, that's the URL. So you can connect to my server all the time. Okay. And I will post this and update the GitHub. So the GitHub code should already have the update, and the search should already have this link. Okay. I mean, in case I forgot, in case you say why I cannot connect to my server, that's probably because I didn't. There are two cases. Number one, I actually forgot to turn on my server before I go to sleep. And the other case is that, oh, somehow I forgot to change this URL in the ecs36b update and ecs36b search. Okay, those two programs. So update is for you to update your post. Search is for you to provide keywords and retrieve the post. Okay. Okay. I have one more lecture. Just to tell you what my plan. I want to talk about the remaining part of inheritance, because I think that's you have to know this before you get out of this class. But which means that I won't have time to cover template, function template, a class template. I will provide you two YouTube link, my own lecture, that you can actually understand the subject. Okay. All right. Good luck with everything, and I will hopefully start seeing your post.